Something happened in Osaka. A quiet moment. A simple word. But for JossGawin fans it might have been everything. No big announcements. No public confessions. Just a fan a question. And two reactions that said more than words ever could. Did we just witness a silent confirmation? Did we just witness a silent confirmation? A boyfriend moment hiding in plain sight? Let's take you back to the exact moment when Qureshi changed everything. The cool breeze of Osaka, the lights shining just right. And there they were, Joss and Gawin. From the very start. Their chemistry filled the room, the glances, the light touches, that unspoken connection that fans always notice. And then something happened, something that might have confirmed everything we've been wondering. Out of nowhere a fan, brave and smiling, spoke up. She said, "Joss, are you Gawin's Qureshi? Qureshi Japanese for boyfriend." Then she turned to Gawin and Gawin, "Are you Joss's Qureshi too?" The room froze for a second. Everyone was listening, everyone was watching. Joss didn't laugh it off. He didn't tease. He didn't avoid. He listened carefully. And then, with a soft, quiet little nod, he looked at Gawin, like asking, "Should we answer? Or is this enough?" That nod had said everything. And Gawin, he smiled, not a small smile, not a shy smile. He grinned, the kind of smile that doesn't need any words. He didn't say yes, but he definitely didn't say no. Gawin's expression was louder than any microphone could be. The fans didn't scream. And no one shouted, no one even whispered, because everyone felt it. The truth floating in that silence. Phones were out recording quietly, not to make noise, but to capture something real. And that moment, it felt like a quiet confirmation without needing a single word. They've said they're close. They've joked about being dear friends. They've used the word bro, but that day in Osaka, none of those words mattered anymore. That one word Qureshi wasn't denied, wasn't corrected. Just two soft reactions. A quiet nod, and a bright, honest smile. Wasn't that a confirmation already? Even after the moment passed, even after the crowd moved on to the next game, the next laugh, Joss and Gawin were still exchanging those looks. Soft, careful. Knowing. You know that look, the one that says we understand something no one else does. And maybe, that one Qureshi moment made them just a little bolder. They didn't flinch anymore. They didn't avoid. They leaned in closer even when no one was watching. At one point, Gawin looked at him teasing, playful. But Joss, he just smiled and looked away. No words, just a little shrug. Like saying, "I don't need to say it. You already know." That silence, it wasn't awkward. It was warm. Familiar. Like they've had this conversation already. Just not in front of us. The way Gawin casually touched Joss's arm, the way Joss naturally leaned toward him when the mic passed over. It didn't feel staged. It didn't feel like fan service. It felt comfortable, like two people used to being close in private, in public, anywhere. Fans weren't just watching actors on stage anymore. They were watching a bond that didn't need to be defined because it was already understood. And by the end of the fan meeting, that single word Qureshi still echoed in everyone's minds, but JossGawin never circled back. No denial, no joke, no deflection, just silence. The kind of silence that holds truth. The kind of silence that feels like a yes. Each other sometimes, It's not about what you say. It's about how you look at someone when nothing's being said, and Joss, he kept looking at Goen like he meant every smile, every gesture, like someone proud of what they have even if they're not calling it out loud. And Goen, he looked back like he already knew. There was no tension, no nerves, just comfort, peace, something that felt very real. No label, no performance, just two people completely in sync. At the end of the fan meeting, as they waved goodbye, Joss leaned in and said something to Goen off mic. The camera didn't catch it, the crowd didn't hear it, but Goen's reaction, that same grin from earlier, that same bright look in his eyes. As if Joss whispered something sweet or something true, and they just quietly shared it like a private moment, hidden in the middle of a crowd, a boyfriend confession, maybe not in words, but in everything else, definitely. Long after the lights dimmed, long after the stage cleared, one thing stayed in every fan's mind. They never said we're boyfriends, but they also never said they aren't. They just smiled. They just nodded. They just looked at each other like that. And for fans who've been watching them closely, that was all we needed. Maybe the truth was never supposed to be spoken. Maybe it was meant to be felt. So what do you believe? Was it fan service, or something real, something so real they didn't need to spell it out? Tell us in the comments. JossGawin didn't deny it. They didn't say it. But maybe they didn't have to. The fan meeting ended. The lights dimmed. The applause faded. But one thing stayed loud in everyone's heart, that one word, Kureishi. Backstage moments were quiet. But for fans who caught glimpses through windows, through fan sites, through shaky cams, there was one thing that stood out. And in that quiet, off-stage glow, the truth didn't need to be said, because the way they stayed close was the answer. So they didn't say yes, they didn't say no, but when a fan asked if they were Kureishi, Joss nodded, Goen smiled, and neither of them denied it. No teasing. No deflecting, just quiet confirmation in the way they looked at each other. Maybe that's how real love speaks, not always loud, not always obvious, but in the silence between questions. In the smiles that don't need explaining. So what do you believe? Was it just a moment? Or was it finally the answer we've all been waiting for? Tell us in the comments, because sometimes not saying it says everything.